If I catch you dozing.
He accepts cash.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Are we waiting for Blaze?
Yeah.
I said, are we waiting for Blaze? Yeah.
Hello, can I get your attention? Thank you, all of you, for coming tonight. We have a full house, and that's exciting for us to see. So we welcome you. I want to point out a few people. You didn't come to hear me. My name is Stan Hamilton. I'm with the CD3 Executive Committee. Our chairperson is really the one responsible for getting this coordinated. Randy Sutter is somewhere in the room. Randy, thank you to Randy. I also want to thank a gentleman by the name of Brad Nolte, and is he in the truck? He might be in the truck, but the video service is being provided to us by Brad. We thank Brad for that. We also want to thank Alpha News. They are live streaming this, and if you can do it without interruption, you could just text a friend and say we're live, and they could join us right now and participate in this event tonight. I also want to recognize a couple of candidates that are in the room that will not be on the podium. One is Kristen Robbins is here. She is our representative from 37A. And then John Bristol is here tonight, and he is going to be running in 37B. So Maple Grove is well represented. Now I looked around the room, and I could be wrong. I didn't see any other incumbents or candidates in the room. Did I miss one?
Dahlia.
Oh, yes, Dahlia, who is running against Elon Omar in CD. Thank you for being here, Dahlia. I've heard you speak before, and you have an impressive resume and a tall task. We wish you the best. And then, is there a candidate over here?
Yep, I'm Marissa Simonetti, and I am running for District 6 County Commissioner.
Okay, well, welcome and thank you for being here.
All right.
So if there are no other candidates in the room, I'm going to turn this over to our moderator for the evening, Lonnie Leitner. Lonnie is Chief of Staff for American Majority, and he's also a VP with a public relations firm here in the Twin Cities, and the name of that company, Lonnie, is?
LS2 Group. LS2 Group.
LS2 Group. So, Lonnie, take it away.
Thank you. I must confess, when Randy Sutter asked me to do this, we were out in Vegas one night, and I wondered why he kept buying me drinks, and yet here I am. Good evening. American voters will soon have another opportunity to choose the direction of our country. Not that I'm counting, but we are 236 days away from Election Day. Abraham Lincoln said that America was the last best hope on earth. And because of that fact, we deserve leaders to represent that last best hope. 4 announced candidates running for U.S. Congress in Minnesota's 3rd Congressional District have chosen to be here with us this evening to participate in the first Republican Forum. Again, my name is Lonnie Leitner, and I would like to thank the candidates for being here, as well as our audience members in person and online. And again, thank you to Alpha News. The ground rules set for this evening have been set by the leadership of the 3rd Congressional District Republicans with the goal to learn where the candidates stand on the issues of the day and their vision for America. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to deliver opening statements. From there, we will get into the question and answer part of the forum, where candidates will be asked questions. All candidates will be asked the same question, and they will have 1 minute to answer. I have generated questions. The audience members have submitted questions in person this evening and online, so thank you for that. I have requested, and it is my hope, it is my sincere hope, that the candidates will not single one another out here this evening, as there will be a time and place for that later in the campaign. Tonight is strictly about learning who the candidates are and where they stand on the issues of the day. To conclude the evening, each candidate will have 2 minutes to make their closing statements. The order in which the candidates will deliver opening and closing statements have been pre-selected by drawing numbers. Again, I want to remind the candidates that we are really looking for them to answer the question in which they were asked and try not to divert to something else. I'm all too familiar about the time when Henry Kissinger, during the height of the Vietnam War, walked into the White House press briefing room and looked out over the gaggle of reporters and said, and asked with a grin on his face, "Do any of you reporters have any questions for the answers I'm about to give you?" We do not want that to happen. I will be watching, and the audience will be watching. So please be forewarned. The candidates are tonight Brad Kohler. He's a former UFC and MMA fighter, author, investor, and small business owner. Tad Jude is a former state rep, state senator, and former Hennepin County Board of Commissioners member, as well as a Minnesota District Court judge of 11 years. And Jamie Page is owner of a technology consulting company, mobile app entrepreneur, chief information officer at Slumberland Furniture, and team manager at Liberty Diversified International. Quentin Wittrock is the former business litigation attorney and founder of Principle Based Politics, a nonprofit organization. So, Mr. Timekeeper, if you can raise your hand, we're going to be watching him for the time.
Oh, my.
And Tad Jude, to deliver his opening statements, has 2 minutes.
Thank you, Lonnie, and thank you for being here tonight. This is really the best Osseo has looked for a long time. We've got real hope here. I'm Tad Jude. I'm running in the 3rd District for the open congressional seat being vacated by Dean Phillips, a Democrat. If you looked at the presidential primary returns a week ago, we had 40,000 people voting in the Republican primary and only 33 in the Democratic primary. Give yourselves a hand. We're going to win this. It's a winnable seat. We intend to take it back to the Republican column where it belongs. I'm the most qualified and electable candidate to win this seat. I'm running to make illegal immigration illegal again. I'm running to make illegal to make crime illegal again. And I'm ready to take an out-of-control budget and bring it under control again. The policies of the Biden-Morrison team have smothered the promise of Minnesota and America. Morrison is a partisan Democrat extremist who has led the charge in destroying common sense in St. Paul. A 40% increase in state spending. We've had a $10 billion increase in state taxes and fees. We've had just a disaster brought to us by the Democrat coastal elite. The promise of Minnesota, the promise of America needs saving. These challenges demand bold leadership, unwavering dedication, a commitment to service. I've been a district court judge, a state senator, a state representative, a Hennepin County commissioner. I believe it gives me the skills and the expertise to handle these problems. I've door knocked over 100,000 doors in the district, so I'd ask your support. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Quentin Wittrock. I think one goal that almost everyone here tonight shares is to bring the U.S. House of Representatives seat for the 3rd Congressional District back to the Republican Party. I have thought about how we can accomplish this goal, and tonight I will tell you about my plan. Nothing I say will be designed to get applause. Don't worry about that. I am not looking for an emotional response, but a smart, well-educated, logical decision to be made on your part during the conventions over the next 6 weeks. This district, for many decades, has believed that it was voting for the most level-headed, least extreme candidate available to you. Many remember the moderate Republicans who held this seat for 5 decades. It was not until 2018, the Trump midterm election, that voters in this district mistakenly drew the conclusion that all Republicans were MAGA Republicans and therefore extreme and not moderate. Along came Dean Phillips in that year, and a Democrat who cast himself as a problem-solving, business-oriented, moderate Democrat. That's the way he cast himself. He won the middle, and he won this seat in 2018. Phillips is leaving the 3rd District now, and the Democrats' baton is being passed to Dr. Kelly Morrison. This presents our Republican Party with an opportunity. She will not be regarded as a moderate candidate. Fellow Republicans, the GOP can win back the House seat in the general election if we nominate a candidate who unmistakably is closer to the center and can win this district for us in November. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Jamie Page, and it's a privilege to share this moment with you, the heart and soul of 700,000 Minnesotans from our district. Thanks to Randy Sutter, the CD3 team, and Alpha News for setting the stage. And a nod to my fellow candidates, their boldness. This is a stressful event right here. So especially my family, Jenny, you're my rock. Love you lots. Thanks for being here. So let's envision this together, a new page for America. As a homegrown entrepreneur and a steadfast conservative, I know the fabric of our district is woven from hard work, family, and faith. These values have pushed our median income beyond $100,000, and they'll guide my advocacy in Congress to fuel our economy and honor every hard-earned dollar. Unity and security are my watchwords. We're a diverse district, yet united in dreams and respect for law and order. I commit to you fiscal responsibility, public safety, secure borders, and a voice that resonates with every citizen's aspirations. As your representatives, the voice of 750,000 will fuel my every decision. I won't just carry out your concerns, but amplify them with action grounded in our conservative principles. I'm Jamie Page. Casting a vote for me means choosing a dedicated guardian of our conservative values and a champion for a prosperous, secure future. Let's turn a new page for America together and begin anew for our district and our country. I seek your trust, I seek your vote, and I seek the honor to serve you in Congress.
I borrow this so it looks like I'm reading something? Sorry. Hello, I'm Brad Kohler. I ran for Senate last year, and I got involved because I still believe in the American dream. When I lost my business in 2020, I thought about what's going to fix this country and what's going to fix this state. I thought, what is the antidote for the problem we have? And really thought hard about that, and I believe that's going to be, we're going to need someone with transparency in government, someone who's going to speak the truth, responsibility, and accountability. Those are the things that we need in government today. I believe I'm the person that can serve you well for that. I know I want to bring the fight to the Democrats, as we know we need that. We need to win this seat. It's very important to the country. I want to serve you in not only Washington, but also in the state here. We have a good group of guys here, and you have a very tough decision to make. But the one thing we all have in common is we've never done this job before. And just like any other job, when you get into it, we have to learn it and do it well. I currently run a multi-million-dollar restaurant, one of the busiest in the States. And I'm in charge of purchasing, budgeting, labor, all those things every day. I have people coming in that can't speak English. And all I want to say to them is, go back. Come here legally. We are being invaded right now, and our borders need control. Our states need borders and have control. We have the legal immigrants here that are upset about it as well. So I think we need a little bit more toughness up there to speak for the people of Minnesota here and in Washington. Thank you.
You guys got that done. Good job. So, yeah, you can fight. Policy is politics. Those who win get to implement policy. Again, policy is politics. Those who win get to implement policy. Before we jump into some of the policy questions, voters deserve to know the state of your campaign. Roughly 80% of members of Congress have served in lower offices before getting elected to Congress, and on average, winning candidates spend roughly $2.5 million in their successful campaigns for Congress. If you started raising money today, you would need to raise roughly $10,500 a day. Whether or not we like it, money is the mother's milk of politics. Doesn't necessarily make an ugly baby pretty, though. But my question, what is the state of your campaign? What does your paid and volunteer staff look like? And have you built a solid foundation to run a successful campaign? And we'll start with Tad.
I believe our campaign is in great shape. Before I begin, I'll introduce my wife, Jackie, here. She's really been the foundation of a lot of the campaign. And we've got a couple people who are consulting the campaign, who are on paid staff, and we've got great volunteers. You know, I am so grateful to people who have come forward. We've got a good start raising money. We need to raise at least $2 million, I believe, to run a winning campaign in the 3rd District. And I look at it, you know, if we have the right national environment, and I see that happening, and just enough money to get our message out, we'll prevail. And the 3rd District has the bones to do it. And your being here tonight is the beginning of it. I mean, you are the ground floor of a winning campaign. Thank you.
Quentin.
Thanks, Tad. My campaign is a little different from your typical politician. This is my first time in politics, and although Tad and I first both got into politics in the same year, 1972, he ran for the Minnesota House, I was in Kids for Nixon, and my race was just as successful as Tad's was. So I am not an experienced politician. I went a different direction. I'm doing the campaign myself. I'm not following the advice of political advisors. My wife Cindy in the back here is the campaign treasurer. I believe it takes much less money to run a campaign and to win. What it takes is the right point of view. I'm a careful spender of other people's money, and I am not going to ask people for money and then use it to do things that I don't think are right. We have received all of the money we needed so far, and I haven't asked a single person for money yet. So we are feeling very good about our campaign. People think that I can win, and that's my main selling point, is that I can win this election because of where I'm coming from and where I fit with the voters in this district. Thank you.
Well, unlike my friend Quentin here, I have asked people for money. And I've had some generous people donate. So there's money in the checkbook, and we are spending the money. Rest assured, we are spending the money. So I read somewhere that a lot of candidates are proud when they step away from their campaign, and they're kind of proud that they give the money back. Well, I think people gave us the money to spend it, so we're going to go ahead and spend that money and see what we can do with it. So the people that have given, thank you very much. You've been generous. I do believe this will take $2.5 to $3 million, potentially more. That's the realistic number I keep landing on, and I am prepared to try to work hard to earn and raise that money. The only political experience that I have, I ran for the City Council of Plymouth 2 years ago, and I lost, but I learned a lot going door to door, and I learned that people need a good choice, and they need lots of choices, and they will vote for who they believe in. So Mike's given us the time here. So again, thanks for being here tonight, and I'm excited to be part of this race.
Well, I'm a businessman, and when I started my business, I didn't have a dime. I actually didn't have a home, and I built it from nothing and built it to $1 million business. I lost it during COVID, and I took the same concept. I'm going to take it to my political campaign. I don't want your money. I want to learn who you are. I want to build relationships. I want you to get to know who I am, and I want you to make the best decision for this district. Thank you.
Alrighty, we got time in the bank. Good job, guys. Are you running for the Republican endorsement? And if yes, will you abide by the endorsement? Will you campaign with, and will you support the GOP ticket in this fall's general election? And Quentin, we'll start with you.
Okay, thank you, Lonnie. I am running to make principles come back to our government. And I am seeking the endorsement of the Republican Party. If you endorse me, we can win this district. That is my main point, is electability, because this district is a moderate centrist district, and that is me as a candidate. I am seeking the endorsement of the Republican Party. I'm not seeking any endorsements other than the endorsement of the Republican Party. Regarding President Trump and the national ticket you mentioned, I will not accept President Trump's endorsement, and I am not supporting President Trump. I formed Principle-Based Politics, a nonprofit organization to advocate for 7 leadership principles led by honesty, integrity, respect, dignity, and I just don't see those principles in President Trump. I do not endorse him. I also don't endorse his opponent.
So my pledge is clear. I will stand behind our Republican-endorsed candidates from the president to local offices, because unity is our strength. If I'm not chosen your representative, I'll wholeheartedly support the one who is, because we are one team and we have one goal. We can't afford division. Our country's future is at stake. It's time we rally together and focus on securing our borders, ensuring our safety, and reining in our spending. Let's revive the America we treasure, an America we're proud to leave for our children. We forge a path of fiscal discipline, law and order, and the promise of American opportunity. Stand with me, and let's turn the page for America.
Well, I admire Donald Trump a lot. Not only do you have to have courage to do what we're doing, but you have to have the courage to be disliked. And that's hard to do. I would absolutely follow our Republican bylaws and the laws of this country. That's what builds our character. That's what makes us America. If we do less than that, we just become a socialistic, communistic, third world country just like anyone else. This is why people flee to this country, because it's a great country, and we need to make America great again. Thank you.
Republican voters overwhelmingly say, Tad?
I wasn't trying to avoid the question.
Just keeping you on your toes.
No, I will support the endorsed candidate for Congress. I will support the Republican ticket. And I am happy to say I voted for President Trump in 2016 and 2020. You look at the economy is far better 4 years ago. President Trump, President Trump spoke for people who hadn't been heard in the political process. He did so very effectively. And as a judge, I looked at what he did to the courts. He brought some balance to the courts. We needed that. In any case, I'm very proud to support the Republican ticket. I'm proud to see the candidates here tonight for Hennepin County Commissioner in District 6. I mean, that's terrific. And John Bristol, I see John here. And, you've got Kirsten, and you've got a terrific team. We can bring back the American dream, the dream of, the promise of Minnesota.
All right. So before Tad so rudely cut me off, I'm kidding. Republican voters overwhelmingly say that America deserves a better and brighter future, and that means that American citizens need policies that put them first instead of policies that stand in their way. What does America First mean to you? And will you run on America First policies? And if elected, will you be a champion of America First policies and principles?
The answer to the question is absolutely America First. I totally believe in America First. We have a problem with illegal aliens flooding into our country. They're consuming resources, causing financial and fiscal and social strain. I think we need to secure our borders. Once we secure our borders, we can stop some of our spending that's out of control. We need to focus on the spending on the people that are here legally, including all the citizens that have been here for decades. But I am America First, absolutely, and I would proudly say that anytime.
I also agree that not just America first, but Americans must come first. In order to make this country great again, there's a lot of policies and things we need to get put back in place. And it's going to take someone with a business mind to do that, not someone who shows up to a meeting with a calendar and their secretary and they talk about their golf game for 30 minutes. You got to show up ready to make a deal. And in order to do that, you need to be prepared for that. Sometimes you got to be the expert of the unknown and show up to get things done. Things need to be done today, not tomorrow. And we need to quit putting things off for the American people to make them first again. Thank you.
I support America First. a country without a border isn't a country, and we need to rebuild that border. Yeah. We're in Minnesota. We've got a northern border. I'm concerned about the northern border and how porous it is. But we have in Hennepin County now a sanctuary county policy, and it's a policy that offers people a place to live, free health care, good education. Who wouldn't want to have that? A lot of people who are Americans, who are citizens here, don't have that offered to them. And that's why it's exciting to see a candidate for Hennepin County Board here, because we need to turn the tide in Washington. We need to do it locally, and particularly in our county attorney's office. We need a new county attorney. But we'll put America first, absolutely.
Yes, I would put America first. I think American national security is my first priority. That includes securing our borders. The American national debt is $34 trillion. That's excessive federal spending. Preserving the American Social Security Trust Fund. Fiscally responsible American government wouldn't do that. We would protect the American Trust Fund rather than let it expire as it's set to do right now. And most of all, I would protect American freedoms first. Freedoms in all forms, from free enterprise, individual freedoms. That's another top priority for me. I believe that hand in hand with all of these things goes the concept of limited government. And the American government must be limited to only the things the the government needs to do, such as protecting our borders and building a strong military. That's what I would do to put America first.
Got everybody. All righty. We've all heard it's the economy, stupid. Consumer prices in the United States picked up last month, a sign that inflation remains a persistent challenge for the Federal Reserve and for President Joe Biden's re-election campaign, both of which are counting on a steady easing of price pressures this year. Overall inflation since Biden took office is up 18.6%. An average year over year, it's up by 5.6%. But I want to dig a little deeper. What does that actually mean? Airfare up 31.4%. Baby formula up 29.6%. Electricity up 28.4%. Pet food up 22.7%. Groceries up 21.2%. Public transportation up 20.8%, rent up 20%, apparel up 12%, and yet the average weekly wages are down 4.2%. Why do you think we are experiencing this inflation, and what is your plan to combat it?
Well, first of all, we got the wrong people in office, that's for sure. Business people don't think like that. They don't look at trying to keep taking. And if we don't put limitations on the takers, they keep taking. We need to find ways to, of course, limit welfare, control these monopolies that keep raising your Comcast bill, your electric bill, your gas bill. There needs to be more stern laws put in place to modify that for our consumers today and our regular people. It's they keep raising everything up, and there's really no reason. It's all basically just poor management. We need farming to get strong again. We need more businesses to stay here in Minnesota, not run them off. We need to stop business taxes. We need to lower Social Security taxes, if not get rid of them in general. All in all, we need more business-minded people in office, and I think Donald Trump is the tip of the iceberg on that one. Thank you.
We've got a serious problem with the national debt the deficit that we're running every year, we're spending $7 trillion, have $5 trillion coming in. We need to cut spending. And if you look at areas like that feeding the future problem we had here, $250 million intended to go for children, it disappears. Look at Southwest Light Rail. It's costing about 3 times what was originally estimated. It's taken about 3 times. I don't know too many people that really look forward to light rail. I mean, I don't look forward to bringing a family on light rail. It's not managed. I mean, we don't have good management of public funds. And what you're seeing going on in St. Paul is atrocious. It's just complete chaos with the increased state spending, 40%. And Kelly Morrison was a big part of that. I can't imagine what she would do in Washington. We need to get a handle on the federal budget. It comes down to Congress going back to having a regular appropriation process where you have committee hearings, you vote on spending bills, one subject bills. That's what I support.
One of the things I'm running on is a platform of fiscal responsibility. I'm a very fiscally conservative person. We need to pass a balanced budget. We can't even pass a budget in this Congress. We need to pass a balanced budget. We need to stick to it and, in fact, underspend that balanced budget, because overspending leads to increases in the national debt, which causes us to have to pay $1.5 trillion out of our $5 trillion in revenue toward interest on the national debt. This causes inflation, and as you said, Lonnie, that is killing the American public. Handouts have to end. The size of government has to be reduced significantly, and student loans shouldn't be paid off by the taxpayers. Those are my beliefs, and I would push for those kind of things as a member of the United States Congress. That's the kind of thing the Keeper of the House of Representatives, can control, and that would be my priority.
Well, interesting. Lonnie said that apparel inflation went up like 20%, but I'm wondering if he paid full price for that sport coat. He said you can't pick on the candidates. He didn't say anything about picking on him. So.
I like the tags on it, too.
So I think we're at a tipping point for our national budget, and it's time that America's finances, that we approach those with the same prudence that we would with our homes and our businesses. Last year, our spending spree was $1.7 trillion, and that has to end because that was our budget deficit. And here's the hard truth. Spending unchecked jeopardizes our children's future. Every dollar printed dilutes our financial strength, and every borrowed penny feeds the inflation that's hurting our families. We must secure our borders, first and foremost, secure our borders to safeguard our nation, restore our fiscal sanity, and stem the tide of wasteful spending. It's about more than just cutting costs. It's about upholding the American legacy of resilience and responsibility. We need a balanced budget that echoes the voice of reason, not the echoes of debt. Let's commit to a balanced America where prosperity isn't borrowed, but it's built.
Alrighty. The official number of illegal aliens crossing the border since Joe Biden took office is 7.2 million, and that number is greater than the population of 32 states. And sadly, we all know that 7.2 million number is likely much higher. Last month, House Republicans impeached Alejandro Mayorkas, Biden's Secretary of Homeland Security. If you were serving in Congress, how would you have voted, and what are your plans for securing America's borders?
I would have voted to impeach. And the reason I would have is we are in a situation where we're not enforcing current law. And if you look at what's gone on with the Biden administration, he has single-handedly signed, I believe, 80 executive orders that destroyed the strong border that President Trump had put in place. And part of that was a remain in Mexico policy, that you had to remain there rather than wait in our country 5 or 7 years for a court hearing. I don't know how many people are going to show up in 5 or 7 years, but that's what's happening now. People come across the border, they turn themselves in. In the courtroom, I saw children that didn't have parents. I mean, their parents supposedly had sent them up to the border, paid $10,000 or whatever. There's no one up here for them. That's child trafficking. We've got fentanyl taking 100,000 people a year in our country. We need to enforce current law. We need to stay in Mexico, reform our asylum process, go to the first safe, secure country that you travel through. That's where you seek asylum. In any case, we're going to go back to President Trump's solid wall, build the wall. I support that.
To answer your question, Lonnie, I think there's way too much impeachment going on in Washington, D.C. The House of Representatives now 4 times in the last 4 years has brought impeachment proceedings. None of them have succeeded because you can't get through a trial in the Senate anyway. So I would not waste my time playing political games like impeachment proceedings. I don't care who it is or what they did that are involved in impeachment. Because they did it to our president doesn't mean we should do it to their secretary of any government department. What I would do is actually do something about the border rather than making political stunts like that. I would make clear in word and deed that you can't enter our country without the permission of the United States of America. This is America. You have to have our permission first. I would ask our experts at the border, what do you need to make America secure at the border? All the borders, northern, southern. Do you need more agents? Do you need better laws? Do you need better policies? Do you need more judges and more technology? And I would fund, that's one of the few things I would spend the government's money on, is funding securing the border with dollars rather than impeachment hearings.
I would vote for the impeachment, and let's hear the facts and see what's going on. But the borders, secure borders aren't just a policy, they're a promise to every citizen. We can't turn a blind eye to an issue straining our communities financially and socially. America's generosity and freedom are unparalleled, but our hospitality must come with accountability. Being American is a privilege that carries its weight. It's about contributing, not just receiving. We must be vigilant, ensuring that those we welcome are ready to stand shoulder to shoulder with us, building up the nation we love rather than weighing it down. Now is the moment to assert control and extend a warm welcome to the innovators and the builders who view America not just as a place, but as a precious inheritance. Secure our legacy and secure our borders.
Yeah, we have our work cut out for us, that's for sure. We need to get rid of the party of death and destruction and get some common sense people in there that are really going to work and not talk about it. That's what we have right now, too many people talking about it. You got to step up as Republicans and do what is needed. Now, again, I mentioned courage before. And on the other side of courage is a job done. And that's what we have to do. Stop talking about it. Yes, the borders. Yes, taxes. But we have to act. We can't sit around all day talking about it. Thank you.
It is estimated that the U.S. military fell short of 41,000 recruits last year. Fell short 41,000 recruits. Some say the U.S. military has gone woke, and because of such, Americans are not willing to defend the United States of America. Do you think there's a problem in the U.S. military? And what are your plans to keep a strong and ready military?
I think there is a problem in our military. It's underfunded. We need to have a stronger military. We have 290 ships in our Navy. We need to have the 355 that President Trump said he was going to get for us in the military. We need to be prepared with the finest technology, the finest force of fighting people. We need to focus on that rather than wokeness in our military. We need military preparedness with technology, drones. We need to have a manufacturing base built up so that we can prepare weapons, because we face severe challenges all around the world. The Taiwan coming invasion by China is a big concern, and we need to be prepared to fight on that front as well as Europe if Putin goes into one of the NATO countries. So we need to have a much stronger military preparedness. That's the main problem with the military.
I agree wholeheartedly with what Quentin just said. I also believe that it's about the military personnel. The military personnel, they need to be paid appropriately. They need to be paid competitively. We need to take care of them during their active service. We need to take care of them when they're done serving us. Bless their hearts that they served us. I did not, but God bless the people that have served. And we need to take care of those people for the rest of their lives. And military might is just such a critical part of our future right now, especially when China and Russia are extending their influence. It's essential for safeguarding our freedoms and supporting the global stability.
Even with the low numbers right now, we're still the biggest army in the world. Double everybody else, if not more. And who would want to follow our leader today? Who would want to get in there and sacrifice their life and time for the leader we have today? That's why our numbers are down. We need better leadership. And again, I think we are on the right track right now. I think once that problem is solved, people are going to be excited again to want to be serving our country, not just in the Army, but in the local military and police forces as well. So I think that we need just better leadership. Thank you.
It starts at the top. And again, I don't think there is an enthusiasm to joining the military right now. Even the Secretary of Defense. I mean, we don't know if he's there. We don't know. We don't know if the president's there. You know, it's a big problem, and we need to address it from the top. But at the same time, I do have experience. I am a veteran. I served in the Army Security Agency back in the 70s, and I believe that is useful. I've been active with the American Legion. I'm vice commander of Post 303. I'm very concerned about both benefits for active personnel as well as our veterans. They deserve to be thanked for their service. Thank you.
Energy costs remain unbearably high for too many Americans. What would you do to lower the cost of energy and make America less dependent on foreign sources of oil?
First, my answer is simple. Drill, baby, drill. Yep. I was born in Minneapolis, but I grew up good part of my youth in North Dakota, where the oil fields were rich, and North Dakota prospered, and there's no reason that the whole United States cannot prosper from using our natural resources. I do think that there's totally room for nuclear energy. We need to go back to nuclear. I think that some of the green energy is good, but long term, we're not there yet. Fossil fuels are still where we're at, and I think we will be for at least another generation.
Yes, I agree. I think we need to drill, get our own oil right here in America, whether it's solar, wind, and of course plant more trees. But we need to get our resources right here and quit buying overseas. That's another one of our spending that's just way too much. We're paying way too much for barrels of oil that we can get in our own backyards, and I think that's what we need to start doing immediately.
I support developing every energy source that we can do so in a common sense way. And if you look at countries such as France, they have small nuclear plants. Nothing is contaminating, and in fact, they use spent fuel from the larger plants. There are ways we can go, I believe, to drill, obviously. The Biden administration's attitude toward the Keystone Pipeline and other pipelines, I think, has helped actually Putin by giving him another source to sell their oil. And we need to be competitive. That's one of our strengths. I support that. I'm concerned about our electric grid. I mean, everybody's talking about going to electric. We need to be concerned about our electric grid. Locally, we've got a big issue with the Herc plant, which is in downtown Minneapolis. It takes about half the garbage in Hennepin County. If that isn't used for producing electricity and steam, we're going to have landfills out here. You're going to have garbage trucks coming out here with garbage. That plant was built to convert waste to energy. And I think we need to be strong supporters of that, unless you want to have your air and water contaminated out here, because we're going to have more and more landfills.
Cut you off, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Energy, of course, is an issue that falls under my firm belief in free enterprise. Freedom and free enterprise, remember I talked about that. The American oil industry and the American alternative energy industries have done a great job of making America less oil dependent on OPEC. Remember when I was a kid, maybe some of you were too, OPEC was the big thing in the news, and we were at its mercy. We are not anymore because we have allowed free enterprise to do its thing. We should continue to do that. We should incentivize creativity of our private industry to make America great again and less energy dependent. The concepts such as loan guarantees, tax credits, grants to incentivize cleaner energies should continue, but we don't need the government making mandates on what private industry can and can't do. We should let private industry do what free enterprise drives it to do, and we'll have plenty of energy.
President Biden continues to lead a global coalition in support of Ukraine in its fight against Russia, but further U.S. funding is held up by Republicans seeking to have their way on immigration. Where do you stand in the Ukraine-Russia conflict, and what are you willing to do for the position you have taken on this issue?
So I think the call to support Ukraine has resonated with basically everybody that I've met, but people rightly worry about the strain of the prolonged conflict on our military, the resources, and our finances. Michael, in fact, when I was meeting with Michael from Osseo, he put it succinctly. Our aid must be stringent and accountable, ensuring each dollar strengthens Ukraine defense without falling prey to corruption. I think there's a lot of corruption going on. We got to figure out how to control that. The crisis in Ukraine underscores the universal importance of our secure borders. As we aid them, we're reminded of the critical need to safeguard our own nation. If we commit to Ukraine's territorial integrity, we must equally commit to enforcing our own, not as an option, but as an obligation. Stand firm for Ukraine and stand firm for America.
Well, I'm not a fan of the war, and I don't think we should fund it anymore. How is that America first when we're giving them our money when we need it? That is not America first. And to start this Make America Great Again, we've got to start right here in our backyard. I'm sorry, but I'm cutting off the international funding. Thank you.
I'm concerned about our forever wars, how we get involved, never get out. In Ukraine, I support democracy, but I'm also concerned about corruption. I'm concerned about our national debt. I mean, we each carry $100,000 in national debt with us day after day. I'm concerned about that. Americans do have to come first, and I support that. I'm very concerned about corruption when we send money overseas.
Lonnie, I believe that the principle of integrity controls what we do in Ukraine. We are dependent on and have promised the world that democracies will be defended by us. We will defend democracy wherever it needs defending. Our word must be good. We must protect our allies. We must get them to trust us that we will defend them. If we want to be great again, we have to be the biggest, greatest military power in the world, and we must have all of the bad actors of the world know that we will stand behind our allies. This is one of the things we do want to spend money for, is our military and our ability to defend democracy across the world. We have a great strength of manufacturing capability. We have plenty of ability to create weapons. We have plenty of money to buy weapons to defend democracy, and that's what we did in World War II. And that's what my uncles fought to do, was to protect Europe from bad actors, in that case, Germany. And now we're looking at Taiwan and Russia, and China. So we need to continue that.
Thank you. An armed conflict between Israel and Hamas-led Palestinian militant groups has been taking place chiefly in and around the Gaza Strip since October 7th of last year, when Hamas launched a surprise attack on southern Israel from the Gaza Strip. Do you support Israel's right to defend herself, and what do you think America's role should be in this conflict?
Well, I made myself pretty clear in the last one. Hey, if they can't bring it to the table and work things out, I don't know what else they can be done, but funding them is not going to solve their personal religious issues. It's just not going to solve it. They'll keep going and then get funding from someone else and someone else. When does it stop? The only way to really stop it if we went in there and just destroyed them all. I mean, that's just it, because it's never going to stop. They don't stop. And I'm sorry, I don't agree with helping them. I just don't. I think we should just focus on America, focus on what we need to do at our borders, because we're being invaded right now, and it needs to stop.
I support Israel. They have the right to defend themselves. What happened October 7th, I think, was just a tragedy. They need to root out the monsters that created it. I believe they're doing that, and I support Israel.
On this one, you'll be glad to know that I agree completely with what Tad just said. Israel is one of our staunchest allies. They have been with us for a long time, and for people like Hamas to attack our ally, we need to help our ally. I don't think they're asking us for nearly as much funding. They're much more well off than some of our allies. We do provide some funding. We're not providing manpower, but more than anything else, we need to not cave into these protests around America from Hamas. We need to stick behind Israel and not tell it how to defend itself. They can defend themselves, and we should support whatever they do to defend themselves.
I would agree. We fully need to support Israel and Jewish people around the world for sure. And I think the atrocity, the attack that happened in October was, if you look at it proportion-wise for our 9/11, I've read it's anywhere between 10 to 13 times more tragic than our 9/11. And that just We can't have that. Not with an ally like that. We can't have that. So we need to defend Israel. We need to stand by her, and we need to be there full support of Israel.
Changing gears slightly, State Senator Kelly Morrison is the likely Democrat nominee for Minnesota's 3rd Congressional District. She is an OB/GYN and has dedicated her career making sure women have a right to choose, and abortion rights will no doubt be the main issue in which she runs on, mainly, possibly the only issue on which she runs on. Are you pro-life? Are you pro-choice? And how will you message this to moderate families in the suburbs that make up a large percentage of the voting bloc in the 3rd Congressional District?
I'm pro-life. I see every abortion as a tragedy. And when I speak to people, I don't know anyone who would like to jail women. I don't know anyone that would. We're all made in the image of God. And I support alternatives to abortion. Any type of support for adoption, for foster parenting, for pregnancy clinics. That's what we need to do, is support that effort, and I will clearly do that. I would do everything in my power to find consensus, and I believe we can find consensus. I'm pro-life.
I agree with Lonnie that this will be a major issue in this election like it will be in all elections. Dr. Morrison, as you know, probably, is one of the co-authors of the bill allowing abortion in Minnesota without limitation. She's done this in the Minnesota State Senate. She's also the lead author of the assisted suicide bill. So how do we defeat that? We have to have a seat at the table in Washington, D.C. The Democrats will use this against us as their lead issue, as Lonnie said. And why do they do that? Because the voters believe in allowing a woman to have an abortion. So what I believe in is limited government. I don't like the government, and I don't think most people like the government banning things. And this is an issue of the heart. So where the government interacts with this issue is, I'm personally pro-life, but I don't think this is an issue the United States Congress can solve. And it's the wrong issue for us as Republicans to push in this district, in this election, this year.
So I'm a true conservative, and I'm pro-life, absolutely pro-life. And what's interesting with this current law that we have in Minnesota, women, they want to say that women have more rights and more options. They actually have less rights and less options, because with this funding of this, the passing of this bill, the funding of different pro-life and pro-life counseling, a lot of those clinics have closed. The funding went away, and a lot of those clinics have closed. So actually women have less options now than they did before the funding of this bill and the passing of this law. So I think we need to advocate for a policy that fosters life. We need to foster life. There's adoption, there's all sorts of options. So definitely pro-life, and I think that if Kelly Morrison gets to Washington, rather than trying to make this a state-by-state issue, which it should be, she's going to try to take our extreme law and make it the law of the land, and that just makes me sick.
Yeah, this is more of a state issue than federal issue, but my personal opinion and choice, I'm pro-life, of course, but if we're going to have this, I just believe that, and this is one of the reasons why I want to be in that room when these decisions are being made. I want to bring some common sense to the table. I want to understand what's going on. And if we're going to do this, of course, you know, very rare and very safe, we have to look out for the ladies that if it's going to be legal. But I am 100% pro-life. Thank you.
A majority of conservatives and a great deal of independent Americans feel that there are two tiers of justice in America, specifically unequal treatment of justice under the law and the Biden administration's politicalization of the American justice system. Many believe we are running out of time to restore trust in our federal law enforcement agencies, and many are running out of patience with the stonewalling of agency leaders. If elected to Congress, will you make it a priority to do your part to investigate, expose, and demand answers, and to withhold funding, hold in contempt, and even impeach where necessary?
I wrote a blog post one time called Infant to Congress. Legislate, don't investigate. No, I would not be spending my time investigating and conducting formal investigations so that I and all my fellow colleagues in Congress could make speeches about how awful things are. I would actually do something rather than hold investigative hearings, and I would pass laws rather than make a scene and make a show out of the fact that I'm investigating the Department of Justice or investigating someone else. There's been way too much of that going on. It's like sports fans. We never think that the refs are fair in our favor. They're always against us. Well, when we were in power, the other side thought we were investigating their departments too much. Now we're trying to do it back to them. I think that's not the main business of Congress, and I would stay out of telling the Justice Department how to do its business.
If elected to Congress, I would focus on three things. First, I'd focus on securing our borders. Second, public safety. And third, making the economy shine. I agree with Quentin, spending time at this point investigating different things. We have to take care of our borders foremost. That is just a drain for us. We need to secure our borders. That would be my priority.
Yeah, I agree. The borders are very important right now to not only reduce crime, but help our police officers grow their force and have less pressure on them. I would not investigate. I think that would be a waste of time. A lot of taxpayer money there. And I would just focus on really strengthening the borders, not only federally, but also in the state, making immigration very, very tough to have, and making these illegal immigrants leave right now. Thank you.
So, Tad, are there two tiers of justice, and what would you do?
Clearly, I think Congress does have a role. And the reason it has a role, it has to hold people accountable. You can't... I'm looking locally. I mean, we're all familiar with what happened to Kim Potter. It was a situation that went from Hennepin County over to Washington County and then up to the state attorney general's office because of politics. What do you have right now with Lenegren in Hennepin County and Mary Moriarty? It's politics. And it's a situation where you're supposed to disclose the evidence against the defendant. She didn't do it. It contaminates the whole system. You have to have Congress there looking at it, investigating, holding people accountable. That's what I would do.
The average length of service for representatives at the beginning of the 118th Congress was 8.5 years, which comes out to be 4.3 House terms. For United States Senators, it was 11.2 years, which comes out at 1.9 Senate terms. Do you support term limits? And if yes, what do you think is an acceptable amount of time one should serve in Congress?
Absolutely. I support term limits. I think 3 terms would be right. I think that this is a great opportunity. Look at the options. Look at the opportunities that we have right now because of Dean Phillips vacating the spot. America will get fresh choices. America will get fresh voices. And I think 3 terms for Congress, 2 terms, maybe 3 for Senate, but 3 for Congress is the right number.
I think that way as well. I think 3 if they're doing a good job, 1 if they're doing a bad job. So, seriously, I mean, we got people in there that don't start working until 6 months before campaigning again. So, people got to get in there and start working right away. If they're not working right away, I think we should fire them. And I certainly would want to be fired if I wasn't doing my job. So, thank you.
I won't serve more than 8 years. In any case, I give Dean credit, Dean Phillips credit. He says we need a new president. I finally agreed with him on something. And he called the Democrat Party completely delusional. I agree with him on that, too. But I leave it up to the voters. It's up to the voters whether they want to keep somebody in office. Sometimes it's good to have some seniority, somebody who can do their job, hold the administration accountable, hold the bureaucrats accountable. I trust the voters.
I've studied the issue of term limits a lot. I didn't say this earlier, but I'm a retired lawyer. And there's a little problem with term limits. The United States Constitution applies term limits to one office and one office only, the President of the United States, 2 terms, based on an amendment passed in the 1950s. So people have said we need term limits, and it's easy to say we need term limits, and we do. But there's a process for that. You have to amend the United States Constitution. There have been thousands of attempted amendments of the United States Constitution over the years. It's almost impossible for them to pass because it has to pass 3/4 of the states to pass that. The politicians in some of those states aren't going to want to have term limits because it's them they would be talking about. And if we could get a constitutional amendment for term limits, 2 terms for the House, 2 terms for the Senate would be plenty for me, just like the 2 terms for the United States. But we have to do it constitutionally.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you to the candidates for watching the time schedule. We're doing really well, and you'll be happy to know that we're getting all of the questions in, so thank you. If elected to Congress, what would be your priorities and what committees would you like to serve on?
Priorities. Well, it's a good question. There's a few that I really, really like, but I want to get there and investigate first. I'm not one who likes to just, put the horse before the cart kind of thing. Me getting in there and using my resources and finding out what is the best way to help the party would be my priority, rather than take my selfish things that I want to do and do them first. So I would look at, looking at where they need me to help them. So that's basically what I would do. I'd be there to help the party in whatever needs I need to do, and also make sure that our state is heard loud and clear what we need to do. Thank you.
I'd vote and represent the 3rd District. That'd be my highest priority. Now, in terms of issues, I'd want to make illegal immigration illegal again, make crime illegal again, and take the uncontrolled budget and bring it under control again. Those would be my 3 top priorities. In terms of committees, certainly, I think anybody going there would like to be on the Ways and Means Committee. Now, as a freshman, you're not going to get on the Ways and Means Committee. But I think being either on Judiciary, where it can hold investigative hearings, or Commerce. Commerce, there are so many businesses in the 3rd District, I think would serve the needs of the citizens of the 3rd District the best. Those would be the committees I'd look at. Thank you.
I have exactly the same priorities as my colleagues here. National defense through a strong military would cause me to want to be on the defense committees, homeland security related committees, and then fiscal issues would cause me to want to be on commerce as well. Many of those businesses in our district were clients of mine when I was a lawyer, and I think that they do great things for our economy in this 3rd District, and I want to make sure that free enterprise continues throughout our land. And I suppose as a former lawyer, being on the Judiciary Committee would be another one that would be a possibility for me, and I think I have a lot to add to that as well.
For me, I think I might be uniquely positioned. I would pick to be in the Science and Technology Committee. I'm a technology guy, have been my whole career, and I think that we have huge vulnerabilities in our infrastructure due to cybersecurity, cyber attacks, and I think I'm uniquely positioned to get in there and actually understand when they start talking about TCP/IP and distress attacks. I actually know what they're talking about. So I would definitely choose the Science and Technology Committee, and then also the Commerce Committee. I'm a businessman as well, so those would be the 2 top priorities for me.
Minnesota has a long history of candidates, both Republicans and Democrats, having to run multiple times to win an election. If you don't win this cycle, are you committed to running a second time for the same office?
I never say never, but I expect that this is our best opportunity. I looked at having an open seat. You've got Dean Phillips. He doesn't have the big war chest. Our opponent is not going to be as well positioned as Dean Phillips has been. This is our opportunity. And by seeing the crowd here tonight, I am so enthused that we will do it. This is a Republican seat. And this is our best opportunity. And if you look at what's going on in the U.S. House right now, there's a 2-seat margin. So this is a critical seat, and you do make a difference here. There's not going to be a second chance, I don't think.
I agree with that. This is our year, with Kelly Morrison being the nominee for the Democratic Party. This is our chance if we nominate the right candidate. And this is my moment in time, I believe, as a person who will be viewed in this centrist district. Overall, a very moderate centrist district, if not left-leaning. I will be viewed as the person who is not an extremist and not a person who they want to vote against. So I believe that I can win this district, and this is my one chance to do it. I was a happily retired man who has 2 daughters, 2 son-in-laws, and a grandson. I'm running principle-based politics. I'm perfectly content, and I think that if I get elected this time, it is to serve a duty for America and for the 3rd District, and I haven't thought about the next time yet.
So I think God put us all here together right now. Right now, this is our time, and this is our watch. And when I look around and see what's going on with the country, I can't idly stand by and just watch our country go to hell. So that's why I'm here. I believe we need to take our country back. We need to get this seat. This is our watch. This is our opportunity. Again, I'm not thinking down the road, because I think this is a seat that we have to win. I'm putting all my energy, all my efforts into winning this one right now. Right now, this is the time to do it.
I started this several years ago and believe this was my calling. I've always been in the service type of industry, whether it's helping people in their fitness and spiritual minds or the restaurant business, serving them. I love serving people. I lost a great deal and decided to get in and just be that common voice of reason. No fancy degree, no great education, just a businessman that rose to the top by hard grind. I've rose to the top in everything I've ever done. I became a world champion. I wrote a book. I invented my own product that helps Parkinson's disease. I like contributing and helping people. But if I don't win the primary at this time, I don't believe I'll run again. I really like helping people. I love the people I've met. I love building these relationships. I would love to represent you in Congress. I think I would do a great job. I could be your voice if you wanted me to, but if it doesn't happen and that's what's God's will, I will accept that. Thank you.
It is now time for closing remarks where the candidates will go in the reverse order from the opening remarks, and each candidate will be given 2 minutes. But before we do that, could we have a round of applause for our candidates here this evening?
I don't get to catch my breath. No.
That's why we did the applause.
Thank you. So, thank you all so much for coming out here tonight, my friends. They came, Randy for putting this on, the other candidates, my friends here at the table here. They're great guys, and I think I can reiterate that this is going to be a tough choice for y'all. I do ask you do your due diligence. Find out who is going to be your best candidate. I would absolutely support that as well and back them 100% if you choose that. I think that we have a really good opportunity this time. I don't think the Democrats have a chance against these 4 handsome guys. So, again, thank you so much for coming out. I do enjoy meeting everybody, and I think most of you that I've gotten to know, I've built really good friendships with. I would love to continue doing that. Thank you again.
I echo Brad's sentiments there. I mean, we run into these guys at the same events, and they're great guys. So I think it's a tough choice. But tonight's dialogue brings us to a stark realization. Our nation's challenges at the borders, our communities, and our finances are deeply interconnected. We must start with a firm foundation to address them, which means securing our borders. Send me to Washington as I'm ready to hit the ground running. My team and I have already created what we're calling the Border Guards Initiative. If you go out and check out theborderguards.com, we're working with a new wave of lawmakers that are dedicated to a single mission, crafting and passing a joint resolution to fortify our nation's borders. There's going to be 51 open seats this year in Congress, 51. That gives us an extraordinary chance for change that's never happened before. We're going to unite as newcomers. We're going to be driven by a shared purpose to present a bill as transparent as our intentions. This bill is more than just policy, it's a commitment. We pledge to you that we will act decisively on the American people's demands. This initiative is the first step in a journey that renews our dedication to public safety and fiscal prudence. It's a new dawn for democracy, a testament to the functioning of our republic, and a call to action for every citizen who believes in the promise of this great nation. So join me as we embark on this critical mission. Together we'll chart a path towards a secure, prosperous, and free future, a true new page for America.
Thanks, Jamie. I'm going to have to go back to the slogan I was thinking of using, rock solid, Wittrock solid, because you've got the page for America. That's very good. We can all do that with our names. Thank you for your time and attention tonight, as Brad and Jamie said, and I echo their sentiments about what a pleasure and an honor it is to be even up here in front of you here tonight. My priorities for the U.S. Congress, as I've said, involve national security, which includes securing our national borders. We all agree on that. National debt, which is caused by excessive federal spending. The U.S. House has failed to pass budgets, let alone balanced budgets. Preserving the Social Security Trust Fund, which Congress to date has not had the courage to do. And it is going to run out on me and you and everyone else in 7 or 8 years. We have to face up to that issue and actually do something about it, as Brad says, rather than sit around and talk about issues. And then protecting our freedoms in all forms, free enterprise, individual freedoms. That's a top priority for me. The Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and the Bible provide the basis we need for all the principles you need to run a federal government. These are issues that concern the 3rd District as a whole, and not just the Republicans in the 3rd District. There is a broad consensus on each of my 4 top issues. The vast majority of voters overall will vote for a candidate with these priorities. Not only the right and the center will vote for him, but the independents and the center-leaning left. It will only be the far left candidate voters who vote for Dr. Kelly Morrison. And so if we nominate a responsible, respected candidate who is positive, we can win in this general election by tying ourselves not to any particular politician, but to the principles and the policies that I am advancing.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here tonight. It's been a privilege to participate in the forum. Republicans have a chance to take back this open congressional seat in the 3rd District. I'm the Republican candidate who can win. Together we'll restore secure borders, legal immigration, peace through strength, uphold our Constitution. We'll restore safe streets and neighborhoods, support law enforcement, first responders, military veterans. We'll restore academic excellence, parents' rights in schools, safe spaces for girls, and bathrooms and sports. We'll restore a prosperous economy with free markets, do no harm health care, secure Social Security, common sense environmentalism. We're fed up with sky-high inflation, uncontrolled borders, child trafficking, 100,000 fentanyl deaths per year. We're fed up with reckless, out-of-control government spending, unsafe, unmanaged light rail, crime, carjackings. We're fed up with identity politics, dumbed-down education, indoctrination of our children, and we're fed up with men playing in women's sports. We're fed up with the cultural elite Democrats that don't care. I care. I care about Minnesota, about America. That's why I'm running. I'm a problem solver. I take these challenges, and they can be solved. Faith, family, freedom, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness with an equal opportunity for all. These are values worth fighting for. They're Minnesota values. They're Republican values. They're my values. I will fight for you, for Minnesota, and for America. And I can't do this alone. I need your help. Together we'll take back this open seat in Congress. Together we'll restore the promise of Minnesota, the promise of America. You can go to my website to volunteer, donate, and thank you for being here.
Well, thank you to our candidates. Thank you to our audience. Thank you to our online viewers. I'm just reminded by the Teddy Roosevelt quote of the man in the arena. Thank you for being in the arena. And I just want to leave you with one of my favorite passages from the book of 2 Timothy. I fought the good fight, I finished the race, and I kept the faith. So, gentlemen, go out there, fight the good fight, finish the race, and keep the faith. God bless. Thank you for everybody for being here.
Was that Nixon in the arena? Yeah.
Good job.
you guys. This is going to be a hard one.
Good job. Jamie, great job.
Do you have a card? I do. I'm with Carol and Republican Women.
Great job.
Thank you.
And they got the house.